In today's episode, Peter asks, what do you recommend for content marketing management software, especially for a B2B company? Oh, great question. A very common question, and there's a lot to unpack when it comes to content marketing management because there's so many different aspects of content marketing. So your typical software needs to check the box on at least one of, I don't know, 8 or 9 different functions. So let's go down the list of those functions. You need to have the creation of content and the management of creation of that content. So asset management and things like that. You need curation and amplification, so the identification of third-party content that you want to amplify. So there's an identification part, and then there's the actual curation and gathering part. There is scheduling of content, calendaring, and also scheduling and calendaring of internal work before it gets published. So there could be a couple of layers of scheduling in there. There are workflows and approvals, which is an important part, especially when you're working with a third-party organization. So if you have an agency, for example, you're going to need to have workflows and approvals. There is good old IAM and ACL, so identity access management and access control lists, the ability to provide different granular levels of security to different parts of the application, depending on who's doing what. Again, really important when you're working with subcontractors and agencies. There is the actual publishing and distribution of content. So what platforms it goes out on, whether it's a blog, whether it is social media, whether it is any kind of distribution network. There's, of course, the monitoring of the content that you create and monitoring in general. And there is analytics, the measurement of stuff. Now, here's a way to think about this that will help you figure out what you can do. Each of these areas has individual point solutions, single serving solutions that run anywhere from 10 to 50, maybe 10 to $100 a month for each of these individual bullet points. When you start adding them together, of course, that has additive pricing. So if you want scheduling and workflows, you're going to pay much more for that than just a scheduling tool by itself. If you want the entire laundry list in one package, now you're talking about an enterprise tool. Enterprise tools come with enterprise pricing. You could be paying $1,000, $2,000 a month for some of the top line software that does it all, but there's a reason why it does it all. It's because you pay for it. So what do I personally do, both for myself and for Brain Trust Insights? We use a bunch of point solutions that are knitted together with human elbow grease. For the creation of content and figuring out what to create content about, I use SEO tools for that, because SEO tells you what's going to happen. The one I recommend, there's a link in the show notes here, is SEMrush, but use the SEO tool that you are most comfortable with. For content curation and amplification, I wrote my own software because I wasn't happy with what was on the market. It wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. But it's based on Feedly and Pocket, two apps that have free editions, and so it's a lot of reading and tagging things like save this for later and stuff, and then being able to export the data and then load it into your social media scheduler. For scheduling itself, I've used a number of different tools over the years. I've been trying out AgroPulse. And I'm actually really happy with it because it does LinkedIn really well, and a lot of tools do LinkedIn pretty poorly. And for B2B marketing, that's really important. It does Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus for like the 4 people who still use that. But it has monitoring and publication built in, which is kind of nice. For workflows and identity access management, most that's going to be built into individual softwares. CoSchedule, I know, does a lot of that and does it really well. Workfront does that as well. Those are going to be obviously higher price software because they need to do a lot of integration into things like single sign-on and stuff. For publishing and basic monitoring, again, Buffer, Hootsuite, AgroPulse, all great choices. I've used all of them. Hootsuite's my least favorite just because I don't like their interface, but AgroPulse and Buffer are ones that I use, and they have good monitoring for seeing like what's happening with the content you publish through that platform. Now, for analytics to measure your content, all these tools do activity-based monitoring. So you publish a post and it will tell you sort of what's happened with that post. That's not helpful. The gold standard for content marketing analytics is Google Analytics because A, it's free, but B, because it's connected to all of your goals, it's connected to all of your revenue, your e-commerce, if you've got e-commerce going on, that tells you the actual impact of your content, of your social, and everything. So there is really no alternative than like that web analytics layer for the performance of your content marketing in terms of the impact it actually delivers. So if you wanted to replace, say, a giant system of spreadsheets, I would look at AgriPulse. I would look at CoSchedule. Again, that's going to be a little on the expensive side. If you have a large team, you should look at Workfront. But honestly, there's nothing wrong with a pile of spreadsheets if work is getting done. If work is not getting done and communication is breaking down, then yes, look for additional software. But the premise behind a lot of these enterprise packages is that things are breaking down process-wise. If you have a great process in place, the software, it's much easier to make do with point solutions. So one of the things, like at Brain Trust Insights, our CEO is so focused on process and so good at process that we can plug any number of tools together as long as they adhere to the process, as opposed to the way that most people do it, which is where they buy the tool and they hope the tool fixes the process. But because process is driven largely by people, the software can only do so much. If you fix the people first, then the software is easier, and if you have great process, you can reduce your costs because you can use point solutions for a lot of stuff navigated by the process you have in place. So it's something to think about on that front is of people, process, and platform. Where's the most broken thing? And if it's not the software, then buying more or different software is probably not going to fix that. So it's something to think about. Great question. Like I said, a very common question and a very popular question. It's going to require a lot of experimentation. And again, I've got links in the show notes. So if you look in the below here or on the blog post for this, you click through to a lot of these things. A couple of them are affiliate programs. So full disclosure, Brain Trust Insights earns a very, very small commission if you do eventually buy something through those links. But as always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. If you want help with your company's data and analytics, visit braintrustinsights.com today and let us know how we can help you.